physiology section of this chapter, we can blow into this instrument called a spirometer and measure our breath. We have these little plastic applicators we can put onto the end of it to keep it clean. And as we breathe out, we can measure our tidal volume, our expiratory reserve volume, and our vital capacity. We can see these on a chart right here that's called the lungs total volumes and capacities chart. The first thing we look at is the middle area here called our tidal volume. And our tidal volume is this little itty tiny area right here. I'm just going to underline it. It's this middle area right here, and this is the air that we're breathing while we're at rest. This is the air that we're breathing in while we're sitting in class. This is the air that we're breathing in if we're watching a movie. If we look above that, the air that we can breathe in, our maximum inspiratory reserve volume is this area here. I'll underline it. It's the area above it. So all this area here is what we can breathe in above the air that we normally exchange while we're at rest. And if we look below that, our expiratory reserve volume is how much air we can actually blow out in our lungs after our tidal volume. And that's going to be this area here in green. I'll underline that, expiratory reserve volume. Now, if we start combining these volumes, we get capacities. If we add our inspiratory reserve volume and our tidal volume, we get this inspiratory capacity. And if we add the last two, our expiratory reserve volume and our residual volume, the volume of air we can't expel is the volume of air that keeps our lung inflated, we call that our functional residual capacity. And the entire total lung volume is equal to all four of those combined. But to see how much vitality you have as far as your breath, the vital capacity is equal to the first three combined. Since we can't measure the amount of air in our residual volume, let's go ahead and give us some numbers to play with. So on the practical, he'll say that your tidal volume is 500 milliliters. So let's go to tidal volume right here, and let's call it 500. And with that, he can say that your vital capacity, the most you can breathe in and breathe out, would be your, let's say 3,000 for your vital capacity, 3,000 milliliters. And your expiratory reserve volume, let's say you can breathe out 1,000 milliliters for this expiratory reserve volume. The question is, what is your inspiratory reserve volume? Well, to solve this, inspiratory reserve volume equals vital capacity minus the sum of tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. In other words, if we take 3,000 and subtract 500 and 1,000 from it, we'll get our inspiratory reserve volume is 1,500. That's not horrible math to do, but we can also do one more math question. We could say Tom breathes in 16 breaths a minute. And let's say his tidal volume was the same, 500 tidal volume. Well, what's 500 times 16? 500 times 16 is going to give us 8,000 milliliters of air in 1 minute that this individual breathed in as his MRV, his minute respiratory volume. Beautiful. All right, I encourage everybody to understand this chart very good individually, each of the four, once we start combining them, what they mean, and how to do these two math problems. Thank you very much.